You just
Never thought
get
of that.
spiked at work. Yeah, good.
I bet your sandwich would taste like ass, though.
No, is that
My sandwich would taste
the
like
thing?
pumpkin, you
Is
say?
you can't taste the alcohol, but you feel the effects of the alcohol.
No, you could always go for an
Pickles.
enema if that's what you're after.
That's true.
That's what I was gonna say.
All right.
Very nice.
Cracking open the boys.
Oh, yep. No, Larry. It was the first one. The Old Smoky Moonshine pickles. Yeah, that's the one.
I'll be right back. Let me get my cool.
I
I've
used to be a
never-
manager at a liquor store, and we sold all sorts of Old Smoky shit, but never pickles.
They're new.
That's
They only started selling it at their distillery
Ah.
last year, and I only just like within the last month started seeing them in stores. They
Yeah,
were
it
kinda-
worked. It's been a
Yep.
while for me.
They
And
started.
You decided that you decided when you saw that would be a good purchase.
No. I tested them at the distillery, and they were
Oh.
fantastic.
You who lets you taste test shit at the store? I want to special that one.
No, not the store, the distillery where they make it.
Oh
like,
shit, okay.
You go at the Old Smoky place. You can go up, pay $5, and they like line up 12 shot glasses, and they let you sample like 12 different flavors.
What are you doing? Just fucking walking down Kroger aisle, just dipping your finger in
$5.
pickles.
Dude, it's the best $5 you'll spend.
This one tastes great. Like fucking what the shit?
They might have kicked it up to $10 because they've got so much alcohol in it now. It used to be like 5 or 6 shots, but now it's like 12.
Still $10. Like,
But you get like a good sampling of all their moonshine. But if you're in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, you go load up on some moonshine. They're gonna have you try the Blue Flame one, and it tastes like jet fuel, but it's fantastic.
I don't know how the fuck you know what jet fuel tastes like, but
All right.
I
Just
should ask this.
read your
Who's
lines.
actually recording?
That would be
Wait.
me.
Okay.
Jesus Christ, Evan. All right.
Evan is
All right.
recording, so nothing illegal should be said from now on. Not that we were saying anything illegal before. Sorry, FBI.
Except Queen.
All right, everybody. So
Okay.
unless
Tell
you are
me Isabel
presenting,
Diaz
I will
about-
go ahead and ask that you mute your lines. I appreciate everyone for taking the time to meet with us today. I know this was a little bit more impromptu than our last staff meeting. About, was it 2 months ago? 2 months ago. I know this one was a little bit more impromptu, but I appreciate everyone for taking the time away to meet for the next little bit. I know it's been a very fast-paced summer, at least for me. I hope everyone did enjoy their summers. For those of you that are still in school, I hope you enjoyed your summer breaks. And as we go into the next school semester, I wish everyone that is still in school, I wish them all well. I know the rest of the executive team does as well. If you are in school, we're going to let you know, focus on your studies, get all that taken care of. If you have time, jump back into the server. We understand that you have priorities and other focuses aside from the server, and we don't want to take away from that. But if you have time and you still, if you want to come and hang out, absolutely feel free to do so. We understand that we're about to go into our slow season where people have other responsibilities and duties they need to take care of. And we want to make sure that you're focusing on what you need to focus on. This is a volunteer program community. We don't expect you to spend every waking moment of your lives on the server. In fact, we encourage everyone to take a little bit of time away here and there. Go play another game. Go play Grand Theft Auto. Go play Fortnite or whatever the fuck the kids are playing nowadays. Do what you need to do. But we would still like to see activity and people coming in and participating in the server if you want to continue maintaining a staff role within the EG community. So again, thank you for all the hard work and efforts since our last staff meeting. There are a couple things we want to discuss today, and the EG executive team has put together an agenda that we'll be going through. If you have questions or comments, feel free to unmute yourself and ask. We'll be happy to take those questions as we go, and we're just going to kind of take it from there. So, who do we have just join?
Mason.
What's up, Mason? All right, so first point of contact, a conversation we want to touch base on is the new staff hierarchy. If everyone has not had a chance to review over it in the media channel, I'm posting it again right now just so it's up front, ready to go. I have taken a moment to draft out the new hierarchy for Exotic Gaming. So now it's visible. You can see how it's all supposed to happen. You'll see that Drive and myself are now in independent roles outside of the TTT and Dark RP communities. This is not because we are now above these communities. We're not in charge of these communities. Drive and I are in states of our lives where we can't spend every waking moment of our lives involved with those servers, and that's okay. But we're here to support the directors for each and the staff for each to make sure that everyone's equipped with what they need to get their jobs done and to make sure that the community is as warm and welcoming as possible. We want to make sure that they're well-oiled machines and really just make it as smooth and seamless as possible. It's a community that we're still proud of and we want to contribute in our own ways. And while our jobs and lives may not lend hand to being directly involved, we still want to make sure that everyone has the best opportunity to make this community as great as it can be. So I'll be supporting Backhack and Noobless in their director roles, and if they need anything or if they need support in handling a situation, whether it be staffing applications or handling a punishment of some sort, if they need advice, we're here to help them out and make sure that they're equipped with what they need. I'll also be that's facing towards the staff, but also I'll be facing towards the ownership team, Andrew and Scorpion, keeping them up to date with what's going on. There are a lot more staff than are present currently than what there was when I first started getting into the staff. So there's a lot of you. And that's okay. And I'm glad that everyone's here. You've all worked your asses off to get where you are today, and I appreciate that. But there's a lot of moving parts. And as much as I'd love to be involved with every activity going on in the server, it's hard to keep track of everything. So that's why I want to make sure that the server managers and the server directors, they'll be kind of keeping me up to date and Drive up to date with what's going on. That way we can understand. And if we need to tell the ownership team, Andrew and Scorp, what's going on, granted, they still have every opportunity to be involved in this. But I'll kind of be serving as that liaison to make sure that the concerns and questions of the team, of the community, is heard by the ownership team, that they understand what's going on, and that the direction the ownership is taking, we want to make sure that I'll be making sure that it's relayed to the staff in the community. I'll be serving as that kind of messenger point to get information out. So I hope that makes sense to everyone. I've had a lot of conversations with you all about what the purpose and the intention of this, of these new roles are. Everyone seems to be on board with it. Again, if you have questions or concerns about the whole process, please let me know. I'll be maintaining an open door policy. So if y'all have questions or you're frustrated about something, DM me later and we can kind of take that offline. So give me 1 second. We'll grab a drink. It was right here. I'm not going anywhere. Just mouth is dry. All right. So all of this talk about the new roles, I want to talk about the existing roles now. So the directors, Backhack and Noobless, and their managers, Mason and Frenchie. Being that the TTT server and the Dark RP server are their own entity, while they all operate under the same EG name, they're all part of the same community. They are independent servers. That being said, directors can serve as advisors to the other server, but they cannot make official decisions on behalf of that server staff. For example, Backhack has no decision-making capabilities for the Dark RP server, and Noobless has no decision-making capabilities for TTT. Unless, and I want to make sure this is clear, the only exception is if the Noobless, Mason, or Frenchie were to go into the other server and go through the same application process that everyone else has to go through. So theoretically, Back could go in, apply to be moderator for Dark RP, and if he gets that role, he could serve as whatever abilities and functionalities that the mod role would pertain to. He could not tell Noobless this is what needs to happen. He could serve as advisor, and that's fine, but he is in that hierarchy and he has to serve in that role. He can't just like step in like, all right, this is all right. You need to do this. Advisor only, no rule making. If they want to discuss it and get opinions from one another, they can take it offline. But I wouldn't expect to have Batcat go into Noobless's server and just start making changes and say, this is garbage and this needs to happen in X, Y, and Z. No. So if you have questions related to Dark RP, take it to Frenchie and Noobless. If you have questions to TTT, let's take it to Back and Mason, and we can go from there. Hope everything's clear. Do we have any questions regarding that? If you go ahead.
It was my understanding, unless this has changed, that Management Plus for TTT would not be approved as staff on Dark RP.
Changed.
That was changed? Okay.
There would be extreme circumstances in which would be okay with that. And if Backhacker Mason wanted to take roles in the Dark RP, they'd need to make a strong case for themselves. The inverse goes for Noobless and Frenchie. If they want to have TTT roles, they're going to have to be willing to make a strong case for themselves to make sure they can get into that role, because they've got everyone's got a lot on their plate in those respective roles to make sure that their own community and their own servers are operating properly. We don't want to just
Staff ceiling.
Yeah.
Exactly what Unknown said. Well, I'm going to leave it to the directors of this prospective servers to make that decision of if you want managers or whatnot of other servers in your server. But for Dark RP, the rule of thumb, or not even rule of thumb, just the rule is for manager positions, is I prefer not to have a manager be a manager, but a manager on TTT can be like simple staff, like admin down on Dark RP.
So as the staffing is developed for Dark RP, because right now we've still got the framework being constructed, that will come in time. But right now, Dark RP is still in its infancy stage. So we're still developing that. We're still getting it up and running. If there are any changes to that as we go on, we'll let you know. But in its current state, that's how we're going to operate it. Back has no decision-making capabilities for Dark RP, and Noobless does not have decision-making capabilities for TTT. Everyone on board with that so far? Have any questions? Hearing none, we'll be moving on to the next point of conversation. All right. This is one that kind of led us to holding this meeting, and that's going to be staff escalation and de-escalation. We all get it. We're all humans, and we're not all going to agree with one another, and that's fine. Excuse me. Staff members aren't expected to always agree with one another, but I would have expectations that the staff must be willing to work out any frustrations or misunderstandings and not hold grudges against one another if possible. There may be instances where you've tried to come to an agreement and understanding, and there's just no way of doing that. I would hope and I would expect that everyone's willing to take whatever opportunity to meet in a middle ground and come to an understanding. All I ask is that you make the attempt. If you've attempted it and there's just no way of meeting in that middle ground, that's fine. But I would ask that you at least try. But even if you cannot come to an agreement, staff needs to be ready at all times to de-escalate an issue rather than adding fuel to the fire. No ifs, ands, or buts there. Staff is here to be setting an example and setting the tone for how the community is supposed to operate. Under no circumstances should staff be sitting there causing more drama and causing any more unnecessary drama, unnecessary headache for the server. We're here to build it up together and make it a better place. Having staff going in and escalating a problem and adding fuel to the fire only brings us down. It only tears apart the server rather than building it up. Now, it's not to say that you can't argue with somebody about it in constructive ways. Destructive criticism is not okay. Constructive criticism is more than accepted. I would rather have someone have an argument and go into a conversation and a debate in a healthy way rather than just blow up about it. And all through this, passive aggressive tones aren't welcomed. If you're going to come in here and you're just going to start just being very passive aggressive, like, it's not okay. It again, that's going back to the whole scenario of tearing the server apart rather than building it up. We're all here for one common goal, and that's to make this community as warm and welcoming as a place as possible. We're all staff here. We're all here trying to reach that common goal, and fighting amongst one another isn't helping that. It's taking one step forward and two steps back, in a way. So, are there any questions about that? I know that's a hot topic recently.
Well, sir, let's say I tried to get into a conversation with a staff member and they refused to let it go. Well, that's a great question. What's the answer, Unknown?
We're going to take that offline. We're going to get that out of the public view, and we're going to...
Well, I tried, sir. I messaged them, and they proceeded to talk in general chat.
If that happens, let one of the executives know, because we will handle that. We have the ability to clear that, but if we absolutely do not want to take it to the general chat, because if it's internal debate and frustrations, the general community does not need to know about that.
Oh, thank you, sir. That was a great question. Who asked that?
Absolutely. Good question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying it was a good
Oh,
question.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that's a great question.
You cut out partway through. I thought you said you had a question. My bad.
Amazing question, dude. We have
so-
great question askers here.
We do not need to give the guests of our community any reason to, like, well, they don't have their shit together. Why do I need to be a part of this? Oh, excuse me. This cherry Coke is not agreeing with me.
We have pizza.
It's lucky bastard. The general chat is not a place to air grievances about staff. Going back, we have specific rules that apply to us. If everyone goes to the Discord rules in the Welcome Center, you can see staff disrespect. Please do not ever disrespect a staff member under any circumstances. That includes passive-aggressive tones in the general chat. We're just going to cut and leave that dry. It is what it is. So, any questions regarding that?
Are you
All
going
right.
to address the new disciplinary action? That
We
was-
are. That will be coming up in later parts of the meeting. So you're jumping ahead of me, but we're coming to it. Thank you, Backhack. Cool. All right. We're going to get away from a hot topic for a minute. We're just going to kind of take it in a different direction for a minute. And Backhack, if you mess up this agenda while I'm talking through it, I'm going to come over there and punch you in the
I
throat.
fixed it. Shut up.
Okay, thank you. All right, weapon fixing. Yay, weapon balancing. So, Backhack, Comrade, and Scorp are working on balancing some of the weapons. I don't know specifically what they're doing. I don't exactly. I'm not I have no experience in weapon balancing. So I'm letting them handle this. But Back or Scorpion, Comrade, if you're here, if anybody wants to kind of explain what's going on and take the lead on this this point, y'all feel free to chime in.
So I'm just background noise since I don't actually know. I just hopped on that wave today. So
Basically, guys, the double barrel has been fixed to where it's not super overpowered. The FY71, I believe, has gotten an increase on fire rate in quite a few things, and we're working on a few other guns right now. Nova Koi is on that list, so I'm sorry to everybody that loves the Nova Koi.
Backhack, sir. I paid for my gun and it's not good anymore. What do I do? Can I refund it? That was a great question. Who asked that?
I think it was the nerd in the back.
Yeah. Wait. Fuck. All right.
Unfortunately, if you do want a refund, you'll sadly not get one.
Backhack, sir. My
You paid for what you got.
I'm sorry.
If you would like a refund,
I have a small question though, just out of.
Hold on, Mason was trying to make a point. Hold on one second.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
if you would like to refund your weapon, you might notice Point Shop does have a refund feature built in. You get half the points back, but
Yes.
it's a refund nonetheless.
It's selling the weapon back, but that's okay
At half price.
at half price. So
Oh, thank you, Mason. I'm sure that answered whoever asked that question.
thank you, sir.
Yes, but I had something I was going to say and I completely forgot. No, I didn't forget. So I was asking, like, specifically, what are your focus changes? Like, specifically, what are you aiming for in the changes? Like, do you want them to be like
It
more
sounds like they're
CS based?
changing the donor weapons to be less overpowered.
Yes,
less
we're
overpowered?
more changing the donor weapons to be less overpowered to be more equal to what weapons the guest would be using. So that
No
way
pay to win.
Basically no pay to win. And not only that, we are looking into well, this is only a theory right now, but we're looking into adding more guns.
Well,
I cannot disclose that information at this time.
It's
Of what
early
it is,
stages.
but
Are they
we are looking into it.
Are they guns? Are they melee?
They will be guns.
All right.
So-
That's a I don't necessarily want to dive all the way into that because that could take that's a big conversation piece.
It's huge.
There's a lot of moving parts, and we're just now getting into the beginning stages of the weapon balancing process. But that is something coming up that's in progress, still in its early stages. But I do want to thank Back, Comrade, and Scorp for leading that initiative and handling that for us. So if you have questions or concerns regarding how the weapons are being balanced, or if you have any suggestions or other feedback, you can let them know and let them know in the suggestion chat. And we can go from there. Back, is that a safe place to say all feedback regarding this process should go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Most definitely.
Excellent. All right. So, just wanted to kind of just change pace a little bit. So, back to the staffing element. One specific element that I wish I talked about in our last staff meeting, but it really didn't get brought up until afterwards. But those that have those as staff, we would expect a level of maturity, a level of responsibility. But one element that we really didn't touch base on was the leadership element and being a role model to those that are on the server. We have a hierarchy where T-mods look up to mods look up to admins look up to managers, so on and so forth, all the way up till, you're at Scorp and Andrew's level, and you can just make the decisions.
Yikes.
Unless, of course, it has anything to do with development. That's Andrew only.
Yeah. But in these roles, we are to be leaders. We are to be setting an example and setting the tone of how the server should operate. For T-mods, you still hold staff roles. You still have some responsibility over the servers. You're being role models to the guests. Mods, you're going to be role models to the guests and the T mods and all the way up. We need to make sure that in leadership, once you take on that next role, if you're working towards moving up from T mod to mod or mod to admin, you need to be making sure that for those of you that you have seceded, you've passed, you need to make sure that you're setting that tone. And if someone's not necessarily doing something in the right way, or if there's a better way of going about doing something, you need to be ready to, in a constructive way, letting them know, hey, maybe I see that you're trying to do this. I found that the best way to do that is by doing it in this way instead. Or perhaps your approach was a little bit too aggressive or too conservative. Maybe we need to approach it in a different way and go about it in this way instead. I found that X, Y, and Z works better than A, B, and C. We need to be ready to take on that leadership. And if let's say I'm an admin, or let's say I'm a mod, and an admin comes to me and tells me that I'm doing something in not the most optimal way, I need to be ready to accept that constructive criticism and learn from it. Now, on the other side of that same token, if the admin is coming to me, the admin needs to be ready to approach that in a constructive manner. If they're coming to me and says, "Unknown, you dumbass, you should be doing X, Y, and Z, fuck you," and just goes away,
Agreed.
How am I to learn from that? If you're going to provide constructive criticism, or if you're going to tell them that they're doing something wrong, be ready to tell them how they should approach it or how they need to do it instead. Let's say, for example, a user comes in and starts RDMing. They get the report, and a staff member immediately accepts the report before the reported person has a chance to respond. Let's say I'm the one that takes that before that person responded. I've taken that report, and Backhack's like, "Unknown, what are you doing? You need to let that person respond before you take on this report. You need to do that. This is how you're supposed to do it." And I need to be ready to listen to that and learn from it. They're not doing it to be an ass. They're not doing it to say you don't know what you're talking about. They're telling you because they've been there and they know. If they don't know, reach up to somebody that does. So we're all here to learn. There's no we're trying to find the best optimal way of doing it. We are working on writing it all out. We've got the staff. We've got the server rules up, but we're working on getting them rewritten in an easy to understand, in a clean fashion. But the process in which things are happening, if you see that somebody's doing something, I don't want to say the wrong way, but if someone is doing something the wrong way, or if they're not doing something in the best way of approaching it, if it's not an optimal way of doing something, let them know, but be ready to tell them in a way that it doesn't need to be destructive. It needs to be constructive. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions on that? What questions do you have?
Well, unknown, sir. I told somebody one time that I had to handle a report. Does that make me a leader, or what does that consider me?
It's a good example. I wouldn't be ready to take on that opportunity. It just one time doesn't necessarily make you a leader, but we want to see people taking that initiative to improving the server, to improving the staffing decisions, and to making the community better. Just telling one person to do X, Y, and Z doesn't make you a leader. I mean, you could be delegating stuff, but you need to be ready to work with the person, not just tell them, "Hey, you need to do this." A leader tells people what to do. I'm sorry, a dictator tells people what to do. A leader shows them and instructs them and guides them on how to do it. And they're the ones setting the tone. They're the ones being the role model. They're the ones setting the bar. Be ready to set the bar. And if we all can get on board with this, the guests that are coming in, unless they're just coming into RDM and whatever, well, that's always going to be there. We just need to be ready to respond to it. But those that are coming in that want to join us for the community element can see that. We want to make sure that we're painting the picture of what EG is going to be. And it starts with us. We're the leaders. We're the people that are in those role model positions. And I like to see us all take that initiative to be better leaders. And that is one element as we start seeing people, as applications are going through, that is one element that we're going to be looking hard into before we do promotions. So going forward, if someone applies, we're going to take a look into how has their leadership in their role model element been in their previous position, or as guests, do we see that they have leadership potential? And that is a huge consideration that will be put into place as we go forward. So, all right. That's all I had to say about that, unless there are other questions. All right. So this one's going to be a very fast and easy point because everyone's already agreed to it. Ghosting. Don't do it. Not yesterday, but the day before, I posted something in the staff chat where almost everyone has agreed to it. But if you are dead in the game and you are in TTT, if you are dead, do not use any sort of communication method to tell people that are living what to do. If you are dead and you send in games to someone that's alive, say, hey, revive me. That's a no-no. If they're going to revive you, they'll know what to do. But that is ghosting. That is griefing. That's not okay. Clean and simple. Sorry, someone DM'd me. But that's as simple as it's going to be. It's as simple as it's. Sorry.
Getting DMs, can't relate.
I'm super sorry about that. I didn't know that Rhythm could come in here. I'm sorry.
I have it muted. All right, so I'm getting someone's asking a question. Let's see. Where did that go? Staff, no mic. All right. So let's say I'm dead. Am I allowed to tell someone what to do if it's not related to the game? If it's game related, don't tell anyone. So if someone's asking, how do I open the T? How do I open the T chat? Yes, you can send them a message. Say this. You can open the T chat by pressing C. That's what we're doing as staff. We're here to tell them how to play the game and what commands to do. But I can't sit there and tell them, dude, buy the defibrillator and come and revive me. If we see that happening, we're going to treat it in the same way that we do with any guests that are ghosting.
Simply use your discretion. Don't be an idiot about it.
Say what?
Use your discretion. Don't be stupid about it. Like,
exactly.
When you know you're ghosting, like if it feels wrong, it's probably wrong. Just simply put.
I like the way Mason phrased it in the staff no mic chat. If you're providing information or advice regarding the current round, then it's a no. If it's related to the controls or commands, then you can help them. Absolutely. If it's regarding controls or commands, help them all day long. Give them what they need. But if it's regarding a strategy and regarding a T doing X, Y, and Z, if you're telling your T buddies, dude, he's over here, or he's got this weapon. If you're giving any sort of in-game information from the dead to the living, that's a no. That's straight up as cut and dry as it can be. But if a new user is coming in and saying, hey, I don't know how to do this, what do I do? Then, yeah. Frenchie says, I would say don't prompt anyone to give you insight or vice versa. Exactly. So everyone's agreed to that. Everyone's acknowledged it. Everyone's gone through and reacted accordingly. Yeah. So.
All
right.
For a second.
Yeah.
Regarding that with the PMs in game, I know mods, you guys can't see what people PM to each other, so it's use your best discretion if you think people are PMing each other to see if
Or
they
call an
can-
admin.
or call an admin. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just don't assume if you don't have evidence. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, because it's been a while since haven't had that privilege. Admins and above can see the private messages, if you didn't already know that. So we know when people are saying, dude, come revive me. We see it. Now, if they're talking in Steam or Discord or whatever, like sending private messages to one another outside of the game, we don't have that information. So it's a little harder. But that does not mean I go in, I'm dead, and I'm telling Larry in Steam chat, dude, get the defibrillator and revive me. I know who the T is. That's a no-no. Just because we can't see it doesn't mean that you should do it. So that one's a quick one. In-game punishment, that will lead directly into that one. As I said before, staff is going to be held to the same standards that our guests are held to, and they will be punished accordingly if the rules are broken.
Unknown, sir.
Yo.
Say someone ghosts and they just straight up PM somebody who the traitor is. Should I slay that person or should I let that person continue living? Are they allowed to KOS that person?
Use discretion, but apply punishment after round.
What would discretion be? Like, should I slay that person? Should I
give warnings
Are they
accordingly?
allowed to say that that person is the T?
If it's a repeated offense, warn them. If it's first time and they may be relatively new, tell them, dude, that's not okay.
I meant so the person that like got PM'd, like if someone gets PM'd information, like, hey, this person's the traitor, are they allowed to use that information? Because it wasn't their fault that they received the information.
That's metagaming, and metagaming is also a no-no.
I would treat that like, let's say I get killed in the middle of a round, right? And there's a report. So I go in and I open the logs and I look at it. And I happen to see who the traitors are just by glancing over the logs.
We purposely said that people
and then
can't
I get revived, and then somebody defibs me. Treat it the exact same way. You ignore that information because it's like it was said, metagaming.
One solid example I have for that is, let's say you are dead. You've been dead for a while, and you've been spectating, and you know who the traitor is. If you didn't see that happen in game, but when you were alive, that's information you can't use. So if Backhack's the traitor, I've been dead and I've been spectating Backhack going around killing Larry, Mason, that guy. If I see him doing all that, but I didn't see it in game when I was alive, I have to throw all that information out. It is not to be used.
Now, that being said,
if you are staff, I'd simply just suggest you kill yourself. In game. I did not mean in real life. Did not do that.
When somebody kills you and it tells you who killed you, they're still allowed to use that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If I get killed by Backhack and I saw Backhack killed me and the detective revives me, I go KOS Backhack. That's fine. That's okay, because Backhack's killed me, and I know exactly who killed me.
What? Why'd you KOS me, man?
Like, why'd you KOS me? You killed me. I've been revived by the detective. Plain as day. But if I'm sitting there and Backhack didn't kill me, let's say that guy killed me, but I'm spectating his T-Buddy and I see Backhack going around killing everyone, I can't use that information.
Exactly.
You can only use information that you have perceived when you were alive or as you are dying. So, but staff will be held to the same standards the guests are being held to, and will be punished accordingly if the rules are broken.
What, man? Cool. Yeah, staff do get punished. You also will be banned as well, just like any other member.
Yep.
Possibly demoted, but
temp ban or perma ban it's at discretion of the higher up staff. So, all right. While we're on to topic of punishment, thanks to Backhack, we now have a written process on how this is being handled.
Everyone say thank you, Backhack.
Thank you, Backhack.
Thanks, Dad. Yes, correct.
Great.
Yes, Discord punishment. So the process that this will be handled, if for whatever reason, and there are so many, read the Discord rules in the Discord welcome center. If you break any of the rules, the first opportunity is going to be a verbal warning to say, dude, what the hell? Remember this. This is a rule. Don't do it. You're like, cool, got it. If you don't do it again, nothing to worry about. Everything's fine and dandy. If it happens again, though, we're giving you a written warning. And if it continues again, we're just going to straight up mute you from the server for a time to be determined. Maybe a week, maybe a day, maybe a month. We'll find that out, depending on how severe it goes. We're not just going to have a blanket for these sorts of things. We're going to analyze and assess how severe the broken rule is. If we mute you, it's nothing personal. You've broken a rule, and we're going to act on that accordingly. You've been a bad boy or girl or person or gender fluid, whatever the hell you want to say. If you get that mute, understand it. You're welcome to talk with us about it, to come to an understanding, but there will be a mute and it'll be documented. If you still don't learn, we're just going to, the ban may be issued, and it may be temporary. It may be a perma ban.
But I don't
What?
Kicks and bans.
How would I talk to you guys if I'm muted?
DM us.
Sir, I can't type very fast.
Well, we're here.
Tough shit.
Talk to us. Take your time on it.
Take your time.
Take your time on messaging it. If you type real slow, then you may be your mute or ban may be finished by the time you send the message. So just let it ride.
That does remind me though, regarding kicks and bans from the Discord. I've only ever seen Unknown and myself use the feature. It does pop up and allow people to write reasons. So if anybody kicks anybody, can we make sure to write reasons so that other staff members aren't just like, why the hell did you kick him?
Yeah,
for sure.
That's absolutely right. So if I were to, I'm right clicking, if I were to kick Mason, I don't want to do it, but if I were to kick it, there gives us like, hold on. So yeah, if there's an option there, if you have a position where you can kick someone, include the reason, because it pops up in the Discord logs behind the scenes that some of us have access to, and the owners, the executive team,
only executive had access to it.
Yeah, if the executive team needs to know why something happened, that's our way of looking into it. So if you have the ability to kick somebody or ban somebody from the server, please provide us that information, because that can come in handy if they appeal it. All right. Before I go too far. If you've received a written warning or a mute or a ban, after 3 months, if the action has not been repeated, if they are not breaking the rules after 3 months, we will remove that warning. We will remove accordingly. So if you go in,
they get double banned.
Yes. Say what?
Nothing.
So if I'll take, for example, if somebody's abusing a bot and we tell them, dude, stop, give them the verbal warning. Now we've got a written warning. If they've stopped abusing the bot and after 3 months, we'll go in and remove that warning accordingly. So we'll be monitoring those. Does not mean that after 3 months, if we've removed the warning, does not mean it's like, oh boy, I've got 3 strikes again. I could start it all over again. Learn from your warnings, please. Don't be dumb. DBD. Don't be dumb.
I just got a fucking text back from Rockstar. Holy shit.
All right. So I got a DM says, let's say somebody gets repeatedly warned. At what point will they get kicked and banned? Going into that hierarchy, again, verbal warning, written warning, staff mute, length to be determined, and then ban. That's the hierarchy. So if it continues, there are 4 points. If you are pushing that envelope, be warned, you can be kicked and banned. That's all I got. That's all I got to say about that. Okay, hold on. They're still typing. give it another minute. Do we have any other questions regarding that? If anyone wants to send a DM or unmute themselves and ask, go ahead.
Announcer, what if I? No, I don't have one.
Okay.
Announcer, what if I want to know why I was banned or why I was muted?
DM the staff. If you are muted from the Discord and you cannot message the admins in the Discord, just DM us. We'll tell you why. But you should have that information. You should know why you're being kicked, muted, or banned.
And you shouldn't further harass a staff member about it either.
Agreed. If
I'm antisocial as fuck, and I don't have anyone added. I still can't DM anyone. What do I do?
you'll know who you should know who was the one that issued the ban. The warning, kick, or ban should tell you who did it.
Oh, okay, that's one. Sure. If you are banned from the server, are you banned from Discord as well?
If you are banned from the Discord, if you are banned from the server, are you banned from the? That's actually a good one.
I don't think it works that way.
I would say no.
No. Okay.
No,
If
if
you're
you're
somebody who was banned and they came in to discuss an appeal, so I think we should.
Like we have a forum for that. Is what I would say.
We do. We have a section on the forums where you can go and appeal your ban. And when you get banned, if you in TTT, if you get banned, it tells you if you want to appeal your ban, go to this.
Yeah, I had that set up just so no one can say, "Oh, I didn't know where it applied." It's
There's
right
a slight problem right now with our current forms in that
What would that
new
be?
players aren't accepted until Andrew is able to accept them.
Scorpion can accept them. I can accept them.
It's until any executive can accept them.
I'm glad you brought that to my attention. Thank you. We'll see what we can do about getting that fixed.
Now,
the other element is if they could also, I would say, if in the same vein, if you get banned from the Discord, go to the forums. You can get that information from the channel. I know you can get it from the TTT server. I'm not sure if you can get it from the Dark RP
if you
server.
somehow are dumb enough to get banned from both, you probably don't need to be on the server anyways.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But you can the ban appeals for Discord, TTT, or Dark RP. If you get banned from any of those three, go and you feel that it was in poor judgment and poor, just go to the forums and let us know. We'll review accordingly and we'll let you know what our decision is. All right. So we got a follow up. Let's say that someone gets warned for spam, and then they get warned for staff disrespect, and those finally get warned for disrespecting other players. Will they be allowed to get warrants for all of those things, but not get to the point of kick or ban? If they're becoming a general minge, we might. That's going to be a discretionary call. But typically, you get a warning for you get a verbal warning for one for each column. So looking at the Discord rules again, I could spam something and get a verbal warning. And then if I started advertising, I wouldn't get a written warning for that. I would get a verbal warning for that one as well. Each one has its own hierarchy. So does it mean that you get 3 strikes in a 3-month period to go and do each of those things? It doesn't mean you get to I could say 4 racist things before in 3 months before I can before my slate gets clean and I can start all over again. Doesn't mean that. But each of those rules have 4 chances. You get 3 chances. In the 4th one, you're out. But yeah,
3 strikes are all you say.
Yeah. If you get 3 strikes and you push that envelope further, you're gone.
Sounds right.
You should know better by that point. So, all right. Looks like we've got all those questions answered at this point. So I'd like to
Favorite topic that everyone's been asking about, and I think you all know by me saying that. I think everyone's already
No.
What up?
Is it about the senior roles?
Yes, it is about the senior roles. All right. This has been a hot topic, and we've heard you. We've heard all the questions and concerns and suggestions about the senior roles, and we appreciate your feedback. At this point in time, the EG executive team has decided that we will not be bringing back the senior mods and senior admin roles. That being said, and we want to explain why, and we want to make sure that there's an understanding of how this is working.
My mic is muted.
Oh shit.
Say what?
My mic is muted this whole time. Shit.
Stupid.
Was there? Let's get through this point, and
I
then
just
if you
got
need
your
to go
bit.
back, welcome, man.
Oh, muteless.
All right, so let me explain how this works. In the senior roles, before we removed them, the people that maintained those senior roles maintained the exact same privileges and abilities in the servers that they did before. And those that maintained the rank lower. So let's say we'll take mod and senior mod, for example. The senior mods did not change. Everyone that had mod privileges were then promoted to the same privileges senior mod had. And then we took away the word senior. It's a word. It's a title. We just removed the title. But the privileges are still there. There was not a demotion. It was not any sort of ill will against anyone. We're not saying, oh, you're losing your privileges. You still have them. It's a way of trying to streamline the hierarchy, because it was a lot of applications we're going through. There was a lot of people that were applying and going in every month or so and reading T-mod to mod to senior mod to admin, admin to senior admin, and so forth, with everyone applying. It was a lot. And there are only so many executive team members that could read into those applications and carry on. It's a lot of information specific that had going into that. What about the fact that senior admins had perms to staff apps chat, and admins don't?
Oh no, yeah, we removed that. We removed that completely. No one has access to that anymore.
No one. Okay, thank you for the feedback on that. So the question was, what about the fact that senior admins had perms to staff apps chat, and admins don't? So that has been removed in general. If there are other privileges that seniors had that when we moved everyone to the same role, please let us know. If it's something that is still in play, we'll be happy to review that and see what can be done about reinstating it. But if in cases like this where it was just removed from everybody, then that's still going to apply.
Actually, senior admins were removed from staff application chat before seniors got removed completely. So that was not because of losing the role or whatnot.
I'm not tripping,
It's just
right?
because it got
I just
removed.
think executive is somewhere else. Oh, sure, we do have it, but it's not useful. Like, if I'm looking at the permissions, we still have that senior admin role. No, we don't. I mean, no one has access to it except for management and executive team, so that won't be coming back anyways.
So it wasn't because anyone was screwing up. It wasn't because anyone was being demoted. We're trying to consolidate everything into different roles. And if you want, and going back to the whole leadership element before, if you're going for a new position, if you're in mod and you're trying to go for admin, you need to be making strong strides and a strong case for yourself that you're being a leader and that you know what you're doing. And that leadership element is what we're going to be looking at, is one of the big elements of what we're going to be looking at. If we just see that you've been kind of coasting and haven't been doing a lot of leading, it may work against you in trying to work your way up. So again, I appreciate everyone's feedback in this. And I understand there's a lot of passion about these roles. But the decision was made towards the beginning of summer to consolidate these and bring them into 2 roles rather than 4. And that's to make it easier on the application process and making sure that we're just not having roles for the sake of having roles. The differences between those roles were very negligible. It was more of a gap between mod and admin than it was between mod and senior mod. And yes, there were different colors and it looked really fancy and really cool, but the permissions that came along with it were minuscule. And and the ability for us to properly review over staff applications and make decisions on those staff applications was taking away more of our time of trying to build the community and spending more time in the application process. And we're doing this to make sure we made that call to make it easier on the community as a whole, so the executives can spend more time away from the application process in the behind the scenes and be more involved in the day-to-day playing of the game and spending time with those in the community. Does that make sense?
So he gets it.
What questions are there? I know there's been a lot of passion about this, and I hope that this has explained why the decision was made. I don't want it to be that people are frustrated. Again, I want to stand by my open door policy. If you've got questions or concerns or ways that we could reapproach this or reevaluate this, I'm all ears. I want to know what your concerns are. And if there are any, let's get it out in the open. We're all here. Let's talk about it.
Can't we just say that senior ranks were useless? In itself. The difference between admin and seniors was like basically nothing. It's just time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in all fairness to the seniors, a role is a role regardless of the permissions. Like, I'd say that a rank up is a rank up regardless of if you get more permissions or not with it. But in all fairness, it didn't quite fit up to the senior role, so we decided it'd probably be more of a help to the rest of us, so we didn't have to include it inside of the role hierarchy. Plus, if you've seen the chart that Unknown made, I don't know where you'd even put senior bot and senior admin. It has no space. So.
It's just it muddies it up. There's a lot that just makes more work for it all. The hierarchy was built to make sure that everyone knows what the path is to escalate. It's not to say that we're not interested and willing to. I mean, if you have an idea on a new role that's outside of the existing hierarchy, pitch it to us. I mean, we may not be thinking of something.
If you want to be that guy, you can always say, "Oh, I was a leader. I think there's nothing wrong." I mean, well, as an admin, or as the admin or mod, you should be at that point anyway. Yeah.
But Mr. Scorpion, what if I'm a mod and I get on every single day and I do great work and I want to be admin?
Well, good sir.
Dude, it's the same fucking thing. Like, applying for admin is the same as applying for mod or team mod. It's the same thing. You play mod as a bit, you do well, you apply for admin. And if you get it, you get it. It's the same thing on each level. It's just more power.
Kinda. I mean,
to put it simply.
There's different requirements for the role, though. You're looking at it from a simple perspective, but if you're thinking about how we're judging them, the same person who gets mod is gonna be the same person who gets an admin role.
And that just means we're going to be holding you to a higher standard once you get to that role.
It's a higher role. Of course, it wouldn't be the same standard as the lower role.
It also means no fuck ups.
I mean, you can fuck up because you're human, just not fucking morally.
Just be ready to respond to the screw ups and make sure that you're ready to react and fix whatever mistakes have been made. Mistakes are going to happen. It's how we respond to those that makes it that makes the world of difference. So again, a lot of moving parts, a lot of passion about this topic. And again, there was no ill will or malice in the decision. In fact, we wanted to move people up. We took away one of the words, but those that are in those senior roles did not lose any permissions. The only thing they lost was the word senior. They maintained the same authority. They maintained the same. I mean, there were no changes aside from the word senior. I can't say that. I can't emphasize that part enough. We just brought those that were in the lower role forward to streamline the efforts and the ability to maintain the server on the behind the scenes and the application process in the hierarchy. And that's before I even started working on the hierarchy picture. That wasn't to make sure that the hierarchy wasn't pretty. That was put together last week sometime. That was well before this decision was made, well before the hierarchy. It was just a way of making the progression through the community more streamlined. So, all right. That is essentially what we had on the agenda for today. At this point in time, unless any of the other executive staff has anything they want to discuss,
Are we taking them questions now? Or?
we're going to open up the floor to everyone unless any of the executive team has anything they want to contribute.
Can I just get a TLDR on what I missed?
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
we'll-
Thing if you want to.
And Evan has been gracious enough to record everything, so we can, if you need the recording, Evan will be posting this later on. But I will send. Go to the executive chat. There is a post on to the link on what the agenda was. So, with that being said, let's open up the floor. If you have questions, concerns, or you want to talk about something that wasn't on our agenda, let's open up the floor, unmute yourselves, and let's get this talking. Let's air out everything. Let's get some questions going. Let's get some comments, concerns. Jonathan can throw out some rude gestures if he wants to.
Fucking stupid.
The fuck you said?
I pressed
Yeah,
I pressed the mute button, thinking when you said unmute yourself, I thought I was already muted.
Shut up, John.
I wasn't even Jonathan talking. Okay.
All right, John got his one rude gesture out. That's all he's been allowed.
Huh?
Yeah. All right.
We just want a pina colada.
Pina colada.
Place I work for made the pina colada. We
Wow.
invented it. It was great.
It's amazing.
See, I'm getting a DM. Let's see.
Wow,
I'll put it this. Let me say this. The official meeting is over. If you need to go, if you got other things to do, you are welcome to leave. I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with us and get all this out in the open. Again, your hard work and dedication is very much appreciated. We're not doing this. We're not trying to have these meetings to get mad and get frustrated about everyone. We're just trying to get us back all on the same page so we can continue trying to make EG a great community for those to just come in and game. We're not doing these come to Jesus moments just for the sake of yelling at everyone. It's an opportunity for us to just come together, huddle up, talk about where we're wanting to take this, and make sure there's no misunderstandings. And that way y'all can, the staff can see what the executive team is coming up with and where our direction, where our vision for this community is going. We're not making these decisions without putting thought into it. We're trying to do everything in our power to make sure that decisions made for this community are in the best interest of the community. But again, your hard work, dedication, and efforts are not going unnoticed. Thank you. From the bottom of our hearts, for the executive team, thank you for everything you've done for us. It's greatly appreciated. But if you need to go, this concludes the official meeting. We'll be sticking around for questions, comments, or concerns. So everyone is welcome to unmute their lines, and we can just get the chat going.
Fuck you, Squirt.
Please check the staff chat for cover pretty much everything.
Yes. Oh Lord Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was typing.
Well, okay. Evan, is the recording ended?
Unknown. Exactly. At the old smoky place, you can go and get like 6 shot glasses for $5.
No,
Hey, your
Evan,
words,
is the
man.
recording ended?
You're right.